a 25% tariff, an oil deal with Pakistan, a threat of 100% penalties for buying Russian crude. Donald Trump isn't just making trade policy. He's redrawing the map of global alliances. India has just found itself at the center of an economic storm. And the timing? No accident. Washington is applying pressure. Moscow is watching closely. And the world's largest democracy is being forced to make a choice, with billions at stake and no room for missteps. Because this isn't just about tariffs anymore. It's about global power. It's about pressure diplomacy. And it's about a former U.S. president turning South Asia into his next battleground. The clock is ticking. And as the August 1st deadline hits, India's $130 billion trade relationship with the United States is hanging by a thread. The only question left is, how much damage will be done before someone backs down? The announcement that shook New Delhi. On July 25th, Donald Trump took to Truth Social and dropped a geopolitical bombshell. Starting August 1st, a 25% tariff on all Indian goods, or penalties coming for Russian oil and weapon deals. America first. All caps, no nuance. No negotiation. The move threatens over $88 billion in Indian exports, slamming critical sectors like pharmaceuticals, electronics, auto components, jewelry, and textiles. These industries are deeply tied to the U.S. consumer market. In some cases, they're irreplaceable. Now, that advantage could vanish overnight. Exporters in Mumbai, Ahmedabad, and Chennai, the backbone of India's outbound economy, are reeling. American buyers are hitting pause. Orders are slowing. And India's peak export season, which kicks off in October, is already being choked by uncertainty. What stunned Indian officials wasn't just the tariff. It was the speed. No warning. No fallback plan. No deal to soften the blow. Just brute. Economic force. The real target: energy, weapons, and Russia. So why is India in Trump's crosshairs? It all comes down to one word: Russia. Despite pressure from the West, India imported over 1.7 million barrels of discounted Russian crude per day in 2024. That's more than any country except China. Add to that India's role as Russia's largest arms customer, from S-400 missile systems to Sukhoi fighter jets, and you have a deeply entrenched strategic relationship. For Trump, this isn't just bad optics. It's a direct challenge. Worse still, in Washington's view, India is a founding BRICS member, the very bloc pushing to move away from the U.S. dollar. The group, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, is building new financial structures to rival Western systems. Trump has called BRICS a dollar-killing conspiracy. He's even warned that every member country could face an automatic 10% tariff just for being part of it. India, in his eyes, is playing both sides. That's a red line. The real goal: market access or pressure diplomacy. But underneath the fiery rhetoric, there's something else going on. A long-standing U.S. demand: greater market access. For years, Washington has pushed India to open its markets to American agriculture, especially genetically modified soybeans, corn, dairy, meat, and processed foods. These are powerhouse sectors in U.S. domestic politics. Trump is now turning up the heat, demanding fast concessions in areas India has historically protected. India currently levies up to 125% tariffs on whiskey and 60% on foreign passenger vehicles. Trump wants those slashed. And soon. But here's the problem. Agriculture in India isn't just business, it's survival. It supports over 40% of the population. Throw open the doors to cheap American farm goods, and you risk mass protests and rural unrest. India has offered quota-based access in trade talks, like it did in its recent deal with the UK. But Trump isn't patient. His strategy is clear. Pressure first. Escalate fast. Force a corner. Then offer a deal. Exports collapsing and a timing nightmare. The impact was immediate. With the 25% tariff deadline looming, factories in India have gone quiet. New orders? Frozen. Contracts? Delayed. Production. Lines that once ran 24/7 for U.S. clients are idling. And it's not just about the U.S. as Trump targets China too. Chinese exporters are dumping excess goods into Europe, undercutting Indian suppliers in key markets. India's year-on-year goods exports fell 7% in June, and officials fear it could get much worse. For India's $450 billion export sector, this is a ticking time bomb. Small and mid-sized businesses are struggling. Rising input costs, delayed payments, and collapsing margins are creating ripple effects across the economy. What began as a tariff spat is now spiraling into a trade shock. India responds firmly, but cautiously. India's official response has been restrained, but not weak. A brief Commerce Ministry statement said India was examining the economic impact and remained committed to balanced trade. But one message stood out. Protecting domestic interests comes first. Behind closed doors, negotiators are scrambling. A sixth round of trade talks is set for mid-August. But time is running out. The tariffs are already in place. And no one knows what Trump's next move will be. Even worse, he hasn't defined the additional penalty for oil and weapons ties to Russia. That uncertainty is Parali, a provocation in Pakistan. Then came the twist. Just hours after penalizing India, Trump made a public pivot to Pakistan. In another truth social post, he unveiled a new USA Pakistan oil initiative, saying America would help develop Pakistan's domestic reserves. The most shocking line? Pakistan could one day sell oil to India. The message couldn't be clearer. Trump is using energy and rivalry as a weapon. In a single move, he punished India and rewarded its strategic rival. Pakistan's Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar confirmed the deal, calling it a breakthrough. The timing was no accident, and the symbolism wasn't lost on New Delhi. Lindsey Graham raises the stakes 100% tariffs. Just when the dust was settling, Senator Lindsey Graham threw fuel on the fire. Appearing on Fox News, he warned that any country buying Russian oil, including India, could face 100% tariffs. Blood money, he called it, will tear the hell out of your economy. India, China, and Brazil were all named directly. Together, they now purchase over 75% of Russia's crude exports. According to the IEA, what started as a 25% tariff could now spiral into full-blown economic warfare. Too interconnected to fail? But here's the paradox. The U.S. and India need each other. India is becoming a top alternative for U.S. firms fleeing China. Apple now makes 12% of iPhones in India, with plans to expand. Semiconductor firms, clean tech companies, and defense manufacturers are pouring in. If Trump goes too far, American companies lose too. And on the strategic front, India is a key member of the Quad Alliance, alongside the U.S., Japan, and Australia. Military cooperation, tech transfers, and regional security depend on this relationship staying strong. Yet, Trump's actions threaten to break the very system America helped build. Domestic pressure mounts in India. Back home, Prime Minister Modi is under fire. Opposition leaders accused him of mishandling the U.S. relationship, pointing to the 2019 Howdy Modi event where he publicly endorsed Trump. You campaigned for him, and this is your reward? Sighed MP Hiram Ramesh. Others called Trump's moves economic blackmail. And in a year where farmers and small businesses are already on edge, this pressure could explode. A trade negotiation, a tariff shock, a regional realignment. And now, the threat of a deeper confrontation. The U.S.-India relationship is entering its most fragile phase in decades. With $130 billion in trade, strategic partnerships across Asia, and a shared interest in countering China, neither country can afford a complete rupture. But that's exactly what Trump seems willing to risk. And the question now is no longer just about tariffs or trade terms. It's about who blinks first. Because if neither side does, we may be watching the beginning of a much larger economic conflict between two of the most important powers of the 21st century. So here's the question. Will India bend, break, or fight back?